Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. We're doing something a little bit different today. We decided it'd be really cool to kind of go over and give a brief overview of all the content that's going to be available in the new Mythic Odyssey of Theros book. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the kind of features, or most of the features that are, because there's a lot going on in this book.
Try to keep this video as short as possible for the sake of just getting it out there quickly and letting you guys know what's here.
Yeah, so there's lots of options available in this book. So I'm just going to kind of go through each section, and we're going to give like a quick touch on each thing to show like what kind of videos we might be looking at doing, and also giving you an idea if this book is something that you might want to look into getting yourself. But we'll just jump straight into it, guys, so we can get this going. So first, you have character creations. Probably what most of you are looking for when you're getting new books. You're going to get supernatural gifts. So in Theros, every character made, if you're playing in this setting, is going to gain a supernatural gift like when their character is created. So it's basically like a boon from a god that you're going to just get at level 1, which is pretty cool thematically for this world setting. You also have some new races in here. There's 2 new races, and there's some reprints of some old races. There's like Human, Centaur, and then Minotaur and Triton. And then the 2 new races are Leonin and Satyr. So the Leonin is kind of a con, strength, like melee fighter kind of focused, buff, beefy cat person.
Yes.
And you have your Satyr is more of a charismatic, role-playing Fae creature. You actually are a Fae, which is interesting. So we're going to be doing some race videos based on those 2 new races. And then we also have 2 new subclass options, which is the Bard, College of Eloquence. It's very focused on the Bardic Inspiration base class ability, which is really cool and thematic with that. And then you have your Paladin, Oath of Glory, which is kind of like your Gladiator. Has some really interesting uses for... I don't know how you would even say it. Charisma-based abilities that can increase your armor class and get some extra hits in and do extra damage. That's a really interesting. So we have those subclass videos that are going to be coming out soon with that too. And then we also have a new background, which is the Athlete, that's going to be in here as well.
Right. Well, and also you have the whole next chapter just about the gods of Pharaoh. So if you are familiar with any of the Magic the Gathering stuff, the whole Theros block of cards that came out a few years ago, and they've even revisited, I think, Theros since then, all of the major gods from the cards are all here, and they're all there. Their lores. There's a ton of explained lore about what this realm is like, and very, like I said, very much think Greek Roman mythology theme. That's very much where it's there. Of course, you can think of in terms of like Norse and Egyptian too. This is definitely more geared toward the Greek and Roman feel. It talks about clerics and oracles and things like that and champions. And the big feature it's part of this chapter is also the piety. So essentially, if you follow and become a believer of one of these gods, you almost have like these paladin-like tenets to follow. Right. If you do that, you can gain piety points, which then gives you additional buffs from that given god, which are on theme with the way that that god. Right. For example, Perforos, he has the big hammer. It's like there's a buff to like your materials and things. You're stronger, more stout. You can't be knocked down as easy. Right. You're harder to be knocked unconscious. Things like that. They're more of like just pure strength based stuff. They really fit that. And all of them, once you hit their top level piety, which is 50, give you a +2 stat bonus to one of 2 stats, both to your current and your maximum, just to give you an idea of how powerful these influences can be. And again, there's plenty of choices to pick from based on what you want to have flavor-wise, who you're playing. So there's nice flexibility, interesting choice as a new mechanic here in this realm if you want to have a campaign set here.
Yeah, definitely really cool that you can, and it's great that it has so much detail because it has every god, and then like things that would further your score, things that would decrease your score, and it's just like a submission, like a side quest kind of thing.
I think the Paladin Tenet thing is a really good comparison for it. It functions that way for sure.
Then it has some chapters on like the mortal realms, because you talk about all the gods. You have some chapters on the mortal realms and how the world kind of functions, which is definitely building some lore for the players versus the gods are more on the DM side, I would say, lean. But there is impact for the players as well. So it's kind of both. A lot of this is kind of both, which is interesting. A lot of the way the new books are coming out is kind of like geared towards both players and DMs. Right. But then you have another chapter which is creating adventures, which is definitely more DM focused. Right. Kind of gives you different, all the gods, and then like suggestions on how to create adventures for those gods, which is pretty cool.
There's even a subset of nautical adventures, and there's several listed, which You've got me. I'm shut up and take my money. As Philip J. Fry would say from Futurama, shut up and take my money, because I'm all about the nautical stuff. I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, definitely one of the probably, I would say, less explored options. It's kind of hard to make an interesting, like, oh, we ran into pirates at sea kind of adventure. This gives you some new, cool options for that kind of story.
I will, quick aside, our DDM here did a very good job of making a very interesting encounter that happened at sea that wasn't just strictly a fight-based thing. It was like surviving the elements of a sea storm. Very, very well done on his part. There was not a...
They almost died because it wasn't something you could just hit to death until it died. It's like you had to strategize. You couldn't just kill the storm, right?
Yeah,
so
you can't beat the storm with a rock.
Made him think outside the box a little bit.
Right.
But that being said, we also have Treasures, Chapter 5. You have a few magic items, not a lot. I think there's maybe like 10 or 12. There's not a whole lot of new magic items. But the big selling point here are the artifacts.
Yes.
So there's 5 artifacts that are on here that are related to certain gods. And they're artifacts. They're really powerful. They actually are going to give bonuses based on your champion score, your piety that you're going to gain. And they get extra bonuses. So really cool on there. And they have like special ways to destroy them. So you can make, we're not going to talk about this, it'd be really cool to make a campaign where like you go against the gods, like God of War style.
Yeah.
And you have to like destroy all 5 of these artifacts. It'd be a really cool
adventure.
Yeah, because there's like some pretty crazy, like one of them is an ancient red dragon has to breathe on it, and then it has to be like, while it's still hot, it has to be like dipped in a specific river. So it's like you have to be some really cool.
Good luck with getting an ancient red dragon to do that for you.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, and the 5 that are listed are all tied to, again, the cards from Magic. That are tied to all of the monocolored gods. So Perpheros, Heliod, Erebos, Thassa, and Nylea. Off the top of my head, I think I got those right.
Perpheros, Thassa, Nylea, Heliod, Erebos.
I'm an animal. Oh, anyway, so that it's all, they're all tied there. They get random magic, magic attributes as you level up with them. So they kind of level up with you and your piety. So that's really, really cool. And also, the thing that, if you've watched some of our other videos out of order, we've kind of teased at here with this one, is the whole mythic monsters shenanigans that terrifies the absolute snot out of me. Yeah. So you have legendary monsters already in D&D. They can have like lair actions, legendary resistances, things like that. Imagine that, but go ahead and kicked up to the next difficulty level, because that's what these are. So all of and there's only 3 in the book. There's a crazy spider monster, there's a gorgon, and there's like a big kraken thing, essentially. And all of them, like when you reduce them to 0 hit points, their mythic kicks in. They regain a bunch of hit points, and they get additional abilities on top of their already listed abilities for like a certain stretch of time.
Yeah.
Making them probably the most like complex and interesting monsters.
Yeah, it's like they have a second phase.
Yeah, If you're used to playing like MMOs and stuff, it's essentially like you have phased the monster. Now it's time for the real fight. Right. You have survived phase 1. I mean, very interesting. I mean, I really hope the first time I see one of these is in a one-shot format. Even if it's like a reduced version of one to kind of see how it works. Because I'm terrified of walking into one of these or some version of them, because they are very interesting and be an absolute handful to deal with.
Yeah, and then they have some maps and some other just smaller CR monsters that ranges from like a quarter CR, I think, and it goes up to the biggest monster in here is one of the monsters, I think, is 26 CR.
Yeah, the 3 mythics are like 21, 22, and 26
and
or something. I kind of
scrolled through it a bit. It's a pretty like balanced range. Yeah. So it's like some low, some middle, some high. It's pretty good.
Some real high.
But definitely a really cool book, guys. You should definitely check it out. We're going to try to cover a lot of this in our upcoming videos. So please, if there's any of these things in particular that you are interested in, let us know in the comments down below. I'm also probably going to do a poll, see if there's anything that you guys are interested in. So if you're a subscriber, which if you are not, you should be. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when our videos coming out.
What are you doing?
So you know when we're covering this new stuff. Let us know in the comments, guys, what you want to see. And if you're excited about this new book, if you've got it, if you want it, let us know. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.